With me, Daniel Russo, the head of our real estate department here at Fresh Portugal, and I'm the Fisher, the founder of Fresh Portugal. Today we're going to talk about some real estate related investments in Portugal. I want to start with horror scenarios, terrible things that can happen, to keep it pessimistic for everyone. So, Daniel, this is unscripted. You didn't know what I was going to ask. But what is the worst thing that you can remember that has happened in a real estate transaction?
Well, Zev, there are some things that can happen in real estate transactions that I may consider horrible. For example, real estate for expats, for someone who is not from Portugal, it's normally very different from their original country. One thing that you have to have in mind when you invest in a property in Portugal is that the first stage of the purchase of an asset is to do a promissory agreement. And a horrible scenario is to give the money that you do, the down payment that you normally deliver in a promissory agreement, and it is between 10 to 20% of the final price, of the deed price. You give it to the seller, and then the seller went bankruptcy, or he dies, or he runs with the money. That's a horrible situation that may happen.
Or you don't get a mortgage and you can't complete the purchase, right?
Or you don't get a mortgage. It's also another situation because it's normal that mortgage brokers give you an immediately pre-approval for a bank mortgage, and then in the meantime, when the bank actually does all the compliance and sees all the documents for the inside the risk department, then they say, well, no, it's not exactly like this. So it's also a complicated situation that you have to have in mind. And it's always good to assure that in the scenario of not having a mortgage, you can come back and cancel the contract.
So a horrible scenario number one is you have a bad contract that doesn't let you get the money in case you don't get a mortgage or otherwise, and then you lose the down payment. A worse scenario is losing everything, right? So, for example, if you are allowed to buy a house without a license now in Portugal.
Yes, that's also an horrible scenario. Because Portugal has lack of homes to offer to our residents. In the past 1.5 years, the government changed the law, and now it's completely legal to buy and to sell a house without having, for example, what you told, the use license. And I never tell our clients in France to do it, because you can do it, it's legal, but the house will not have the same value, or it will lose value through the years, because I believe the government will change it again and will demand the houses to have a habitational license again.
Another disaster that I can think of is that someone is doing conflicting transactions and sells the same property to multiple people. And it's unlike in pretty much everywhere else. In Portugal, it's not common to register a notice on the title registry. Even though it's allowed and we're doing it for all of our clients, most people don't bother.
Yeah, it's true. This goes more or less in the line of what we spoke initially. It's unfortunately pretty common and normal to do promissory agreements, pay the down payment, and don't register the contracts. When you say don't register, is normally you do the promissory agreement, and you have to know that in Portugal there are records from the property, from the government. And what we'd like to do and what we assure to our clients is that we certify that promissory agreement and we register it inside the property records. And doing that, you assure that your rights will be...
So the owner cannot sell it to other people, essentially.
They can, or he can sell it, but The third party who can buy it will always know that you have rights and can demand the property to come under your name again. So you will be defended. It's not a 100% defense, but it's 99%. They can always sell it to a third party, but your right is assured if you want to complete the deal.
Some points on mortgages, because you brought it up before. Uh, I think something that's quite unique about Portugal is the age limitation on mortgages, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of clients that were used to a different method. In Portugal, mortgages are more attached to the person itself and not to the real estate asset. In that sense, Portuguese National Bank, following some European rules, will not allow mortgages to go over 75 years old age. And not all banks do it. I know one or two that do it, not all. Generally, they don't pass 70 years old. So you have to have in mind that if you are 55, 60, you only have a maximum of 15 years to pay your mortgage. So the monthly value will be high for sure.
Another point, an interesting point on mortgages, which I think people don't fully understand or appreciate, is how relationship based, how important the relationship with the bank of the client or the lawyer or whatever other representative mortgage agent has. And I think people are very tempted to use mortgage agents, and there's a lot of merit to that because they can compare a large number of offers, but sometimes they don't appreciate that, actually knowing the banker can be the difference between a yes or a no.
Yeah, of course. Knowing the banker and knowing the system and how it works, it's very important. Because especially from someone who has incomes from outside. Because you have to understand how banks think regarding your incomes to evaluate if you are able to get a mortgage or not. And you are, but you have to present things correctly. Otherwise, you may be rejected, and you never want that.
I mean, it reminds me of a recent scenario of a client with US LLC income, and the bank doesn't understand that they say, oh, but show me the incorporation and the tax return of the LLC, and the LLC may not even have a tax return if it's a transparent entity, and show me the registration of your activity in Portugal. I say, but we don't have any because so it really needs to be explained and walked through with the bank to get them comfortable.
It needs. Look, regarding LLCs, it's pretty common for a citizen that already lives here and pays his tax and declares tax returns here, that it's completely normal to have their tax returns at zero or don't appear any tax to pay. And banks need to understand why. So that's our part. We explain them why they don't pay taxes, do they have incomes, and we explain a very, very important income, because when you have monthly incomes from your work, it's easier. When you receive with dividends, it's more complicated, if we can say it like this, and banks take more time to evaluate things, and that's why why we are here to explain everything.
Moving from the negative to the positive, if you had to buy an investment asset, because we're starting an investment video series now, if you had to buy an asset for investment in Portugal, at say 500,000, 1,000,000, and 200,000 budget, from anywhere in Portugal, just random thoughts. I know you like it everywhere. But what would you do with 200K, 500,000 or 1,000,000?
Look, it depends a lot on the perspective of the investor, but we need to understand that trendy markets are always trendy, and then we have some markets that are starting to booming or starting to raise in Portugal. Of course, if you just see it as an investment perspective, we need to understand what you want in terms of investment: buying and selling, renting, are different solutions. Renting, you have it renting long term, short term. It's very important to clarify that now, for example, and Lisbon is Lisbon. Lisbon is the capital, and where is the real estate is more active. Let's say like this. But in Lisbon, you cannot have, for example, short-term rentals. But you can buy an investment property that already has a short-term rental license. So if you have, for example, 500 K to spend, probably I'll buy it here or I'll buy it in Algarve, a very touristic, trendy area where you can still obtain license or you can transfer the license from the last owner. Um, but now there are emerging other areas. Porto, we have a lot of clients buying in Porto, and you have also all the remain of Portugal. Portugal, it's a small country, but it's so different, and there are amazing opportunities. Um, I only in an investment purpose would buy probably or would create a company to develop a real estate offer regarding short term, but in the central of Portugal. For example, it's a solution that many clients like it. And I think it gives a lot of incomes. Buying small houses, and you spoke about 200K, buying a small house for 20, 30K, spending 50K on it.
A ruin, essentially.
Yeah, sometimes it's not ruin, but yeah, buying a ruin, for example, and developing it. You'll spend, the risk is much less, you spend less money, and the profits can be huge.
But you need a builder.
You need a builder.
Yeah.
Yes, and sometimes it's difficult to find the correct builder in Portugal because you have to understand you are Portugal. It has amazing things, it has bad things. You have to have a trustful builder, one that answers you, which sometimes it's difficult, and you have to do a good contract with penalties and maybe with benefits if they finish earlier, which it's always good and I like to put.
So just trusting people randomly, not such a good idea?
Not such a good idea. I would always do a contract.
Yeah.
Contract, a real contract regarding the renovation of the home.
And I mean, it's fair to say that you're optimistic on the real estate in Portugal continuing to boom, even after booming for a few years now.
Look, I have to. If we see the European market and how Portugal is included, you see that in the past couple of years, some markets, like especially in the north of Europe, went a little bit down, and the booming was slower. Even now in Spain, you have problems, and we don't see that in Portugal. Portugal's market is still growing, and we don't see any perspective of slowing down.
Yeah. And we see a new wave of Americans coming now, which are frustrated from the politics.
There are a lot, and that's one thing that makes me have almost certain that the prices will maintain high and will even get higher. We have clients that want to rush things and want to sign the promissory agreements as soon as they can because they are afraid of the prices that are going up because of, for example, American market.
So there are some warnings by some financial authorities that maybe the Portuguese market is somewhat overheated. And there's also some pushback from the local population saying we can't buy anymore because it's too expensive. But it's as long as Portugal doesn't elect an extreme right or left wing government and goes completely rogue, it's a safe haven, right? And people are coming for the stability.
Yeah, for sure. And look, we need to understand that for the next 3 years, the government will maintain. So this politics will be followed, and we can be sure that all the rights that we grant today will maintain until the end of our life. Let's say it like this. We saw that situation when the government, the last government, didn't wanted to stop the short-term rental. But everyone who had rights that already were granted, they will maintain it. So I don't see a big problem.
So as long as things are still possible, you should go ahead and do them.
It's the time to do it.
Yeah.
It is. I believe that until the end of the year, and actually also because of European rules regarding mortgages and the Euribor rates that are going down, and they expect to
The
reach.
prices will increase, yeah.
Yeah, the prices will increase because there will be more mortgages to offer because the mortgages will be less expensive.
Yeah.
And now
So for cash buyers specifically, now is a great time to buy.
it is a great time. Yes.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay. Daniel, I think we'll do some more videos like this, maybe with some estate agents or property developers, to show people some concrete opportunities.
Or even to speak about tax benefits regarding real estate.
Yeah, also. Thank you. And thank you.
Bye bye.